And look, Manchester City only the second team to beat Newcastle in the Premier League this season. They still have by far the best defensive record, but it is those goals that's the problem, isn't it? You know, Callum Wilson not in the form that he was in at the beginning of the season, and Newcastle fans were hoping that Alexander Isak would be the answer. What have you made of him when he comes on?
I really like him, actually. I think he's going to be a top player. But I think he just went maybe with the experience of Callum Wilson. But I think the big difference with Newcastle now and at the start of the season, they were efficient. When they got in front of goal, they were efficient. Now they're having a little bit more of the ball, but they're not as efficient in front of goal. So they'll come back. They created really good opportunities today, and I'm sure Eddie will be proud of the way that they played in such a difficult game.
Can you still see them getting Champions League football in Newcastle and getting over that disappointment of Wembley quickly?
No, I mean, I think the Wembley thing was a factor into that 8 games where they haven't got the results, but I don't think they've got enough firepower and to keep them in there for Champions League.
Pep, the manager is always a genius when he puts on a substitute and he turns the game so quickly, so congratulations. Bernardo, did you send him on with specific instructions?
Bernardo had the ability to help us to make long possessions, or the possessions longer, I would say, because he had the ability to keep the ball and make an extra passes. In that moment, the game was broken. It was better Newcastle and didn't win the game in transitions, and that's why Bernardo was just the idea. But like you said perfectly, like it works, all we want, it's perfect, you know, why did what he did, so we know.
It's important to react though, because they had thrown on those substitutes. They looked full of energy at that point.
Yeah, the game started, first minutes they were better. We struggled to make a build up. We make some changes during the game, the first half, and after the brilliant action from Phil, we had the game in our hands. We didn't suffer, but the first minutes, the second half was good, but after we lost the game, and Bernardo helped us to come back. But always the threat of them is not a surprise. The reason why final the Carabao Cup, like in many minutes they were better than United, and the position that they are all the season. So this team, this club in the next years will be a real threat to fight for the titles.
And we're talking about Phil Foden again. That shows the form he's in. He drives at defenders, puts them under
his
pressure.
Commitment without the ball, both him and Jack, and of course it was a deflection goal, but he was aggressive to go in there. Like in this season we missed a little bit, and now with what we need to feel. So it doesn't matter what happened in this type of position, that's part of the goal. You have to be aggressive like he was in the goal.
You don't like picking out players necessarily, but the spine of the side, Ruben Dias and Rodri, they just keep you in a perfect position.
And Manu as well, yeah. All three were brilliant, and Nathan again, and Kyle. So the reality that our back four was brilliant, because against topside, defend well the duels, defend bend, block the shots, and many things they were there. So yeah. So against this side you have to suffer, because all the teams suffer against them with the set pieces, where everything is a fantastic, exceptional team.
The gap has closed, so you have to go again.
No, before the game it was bye, and now we are hello. So many things going to happen, but it's important. It was an important game. And tomorrow we're going to sit in front of TV to watch Anfield. So this is what you have to do.
Enjoy.
Thank you.
That Man City can come out not playing so well, but and win the games. That's a huge difference.
Back to the finishing school this week for Newcastle, Alan?
Has to be. Probably where they've been in the last few weeks, on the training ground, trying to practice their finishing. But I thought Newcastle more than matched them in every department other than the 18-yard box. It's not often you go to that stadium and play Manchester City and create that many big chances. And they probably had 3 today, so they've only got themselves to blame.
So, Manchester City are only the second team this season to beat Newcastle United in the Premier League. We'll have all the reaction and more from these 3 gentlemen.
Well, Bernardo, that's quite an introduction to a game. You go on, 132 seconds apparently. You got that vital goal.
Yeah, very happy because it was a tough game, a tough moment in the game for us. Because 1-0 they take more risks and they go for it. So to score that goal was very good.
Yeah, you're right. They looked livelier after their own substitutions. It was a real turning point.
Well, yeah, you know that when you're playing Newcastle, how good they are this season, and arriving to the second half, losing 1-0, they go for it. They go for it because they need points, and losing 1-0 or 2-0 or 3-0 for them is the same. So we knew that they would press more, they would try and create more chances. So yeah, the second goal was good for us.
And of course, Phil Foden's goal give you a good start. He drives at defenders, doesn't he? He commits them. That's his great skill.
Yeah, he's so good. He's one of those players that can decide games for you, that can take on 1-2 players and score a goal like today. And happy for him because he went through a difficult period because of his injury. So he's back, and we're very happy to have him with us because, like today, he showed that he can solve the games. He can solve some of our problems.
The manager's been talking about that he feels that there's the right attitude. You know, you're going into the business end of the season now, and he says the body language is good at the moment.
Well, yeah, I think the team is with a good spirit at the moment. We know how difficult it is to compete every season in the Premier League, in the Champions League, in all the competitions. And yeah, we've had some tough moments this season, but we want to compete and we want to do our best, knowing that it's going to be tough these last 2-3 months. It's not going to be easy, but we're going to fight for all the titles that we're still involved in.
And the chase is on. Over to Arsenal there.
Well, yeah, the chase is on, and we know that we dropped points against Forest, which was very frustrating, and Arsenal won their game in hand. Yeah, we'll see. We can only focus on ourselves now. We cannot focus on Arsenal. We need to do our job, because if we don't, it doesn't matter what Arsenal does or not.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, City have won 6 times in the last 8 league games now. His introduction was crucial, and that goal in the end was the one after Newcastle had a really good spell that killed you off.
Yeah, Newcastle had responded really well. They came out at half-time and were the better team until this happened. It was a really poor pass from Trippier. Although he does recover, he actually then pushes the ball back into possession for Manchester City, into Haaland, who then flicks it around the corner for Bernardo Silva, and once it goes to 2-0, then they're not coming back from that. But yeah, that was the difference. I mean, this is a much tougher finish than the chances that Newcastle had. Newcastle had 2 or 3 big chances, but this is a tougher one. It's a clever finish. It's a good finish from their point of view, and they punished Newcastle for giving that goal away. And that was the difference. Newcastle didn't punish Manchester City today when they had their chances.
And the difference is, Lucas, sometimes you're bringing on a player of the calibre of Bernardo Silva who goes away and straight away does that.
Yeah, it's different, between both teams. I mean, when most of those players have got that winning mentality, and you bring somebody like that off the bench, and he scores a goal like that, I mean, he took his chance very well. It wasn't like I couldn't blame Newcastle's defence, but his reaction was very quick. But again, I mean, Newcastle brought in a few substitutes, and I thought they would liven up the game. But there was only Isak. He was there once, created his own chance, but after that, nothing happened.
Yeah, just defensive. I think in that goal, we sort of highlighted Joe Linton on the replay. He was nearly holding hands with St. Maximin. So I don't know what he's positioned from a defensive side. I think he should be more in the midfield, because that's his position. And it just allowed Bernardo Silva that space, and that's all he needs. It's half a chance, really, as Alan says. Newcastle had much better chances, didn't take them today, and a player as clinical as Bernardo Silva off the bench, he's not going to miss that.
I know you don't want to see them again, but we're going to have to show you them, because they are not just chances, they're gilt-edged chances, aren't they?
I don't care who you're playing against at any level, you have to punish the opposition. This is the first one. This is at 0-0, Steve. That is a good opportunity, a really good opportunity. You got a free shot. I mean, he just gets it all wrong, doesn't it? Hits his right foot, that takes it away from his left foot. And yeah, disappointing. Another one from Longstaff here. Could get his shot away perhaps a little bit earlier. He gives time there. He gives time for Ake to get back in the block. And this is really good play. It's a fantastic ball down into Trippier, who heads it across to Wilson. Comfortable. They look really stiff in that situation. And another big opportunity. I mean, they cut them wide open. And I mean, that is very similar to the Wilson one. That has to be in the back of the net at any level of football. let alone in the top 5 of the Premier League.
I think the frustrating thing for Eddie Howe is that all they're creating the chances. Like he's seeing there, the team build up, the shape's good in the team. They're creating the chances, getting the bodies in the box. Joe Linton arriving at the right time. But it's just that in front of the goal. It's just. I don't know if it's a confidence thing or whatever, but they're just lacking that.
3 goals in 8 league games now.
I know. If we hear from Eddie Howe after the game in his interview, I'm almost certain he'll say he was really pleased with their performance up until Newcastle arrived in the 18-yard box, because I thought they defended well at times. They were creative in midfield. They were tough when they had to be. All right, they made 1 or 2 mistakes, but you're playing against one of the best teams in the country. So at times you have to say, okay, we accept that, but. From his point of view, the finishing has been terrible in recent games. Certainly, since the World Cup, number of chances they're missing is not acceptable, and they're going to have to get back to the training ground and practice that, and practice and practice and practice.
And even at the other end, for the first goal, Lucas, defensively, you felt Newcastle could have done a lot better to prevent this.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it would make a huge difference going obviously into half time with goalless. Even 1-0 wasn't as bad, but I thought they will rectify that. I thought they will come up second half thinking, let's push them, let's see, let's test them a little bit, let's create more, but it didn't happen, but you know what, today's performance wasn't that bad. It wasn't that bad. I think the only thing they can look up to now is Europe. Anyway, that's where they can push now.
Kevin De Bruyne didn't have his best game in terms of on the ball, but off the ball you saw 2 great runs then, which opens a pitch up for Phil Foden to actually run in. Great running off the ball.
That was the difference. Foden in the first half, Bernardo Silva in the second, all 3 points.